So the other day I was going through my Netflix account trying to find some new movies to watch, and I managed to find this movie called Windfall. Now I heard about this film by looking at some of Billy J. Collins' posts, and I was intrigued because it was under this dark, gritty, suspense kind of genre. So I pressed play and I watched it. And to my surprise, this film is extremely underrated. Now, before I get into the depths of it, I don't want to spoil this film too much because I really recommend people going to watch a film like this. It's very much underappreciated, so I highly recommend anyone to go and watch this film first. But with that being said, let's get into the main stuff about this film. First of all, I like the entire pace of this film. It's not fast paced, it's slow, but it's fitting. The slowness of this film is from the start to finish, you kind of feel it, but at the same time it doesn't make you feel bored or anything. It actually helps in the film progressing forward. I think at the beginning, for like 8 to 10 minutes, you barely get any dialogue. It's just visuals, and in that space of time your thoughts go wild on like what is happening, and you start making assumptions on who is this guy and where's he at, and what is he trying to do, and all of that. So it's very well done in a way where the story is intriguing, but there's not a lot to it. The idea of the film is very straightforward, very simple. It's a guy robbing a house. That idea, although it's simple and straightforward, they actually made that idea seem very complex and more in depth in the film. The entire film only has three main characters, three main physical characters. The film just takes place in this one location and that's it. So it's definitely very interesting, it intrigues you a lot, and you don't need to pay attention to a lot of things because it's just one location, it's just one simple idea, one simple story. It's just elevated to another level, I would say. As for the characters, I'm glad they didn't really waste a lot of time in developing each of the character. They spend enough time to explain about the characters so that you can understand what they're all about and what they do and all of that. And I think that's enough for a film like this because you want to keep the movie going forward. And they did a good job in character development. Although I would have loved to see a little bit more insight on what's the robber's motive. I think that would be an element to his character as well. I didn't really get much of it. It's not very messy. It's not very confusing. It's very clear, straightforward. You get the idea from the start and you just follow along and see what's happening until the end of the film. Another thing about films like this, especially an idea like robbing a house or robbing something, robbing a bank or something like that, there's a lot of convenience factor that comes to it. The characters in the film, sometimes they have this element of convenience where you kind of feel like, oh, that's very convenient for them that they have this access to something. That kind of helps the story move forward in a way. That kind of element is not scattered around in this film. I can only think of one scene where I can say it's very much for convenience for that character. And other than that, there's not much of convenience factor in this film, which is great because you don't want characters to feel like they're in a great spot and everything's going well and by luck something happens that turns out to be beneficial for them. So that is not everywhere in this film, which is good. If you see films like Ocean's 12, it's a comedy film, a great film. They went to rob this casino and such. There's a lot of money, so they went to rob that, and they make a plan for it and they execute the plan, and while executing the plan, some parts of their plan don't work out and they're in a disadvantage and they have to think fast and be spontaneous about their next action. For this film, that spontaneous action and trying to think fast in situations, tense situations, is basically from the start of the film. There's not a lot of planning going on from the robber's side. It's very spontaneous. His actions has to be very spot on, has to be the right action, and you see him nervous in a lot of tense situations. So that gives you a lot of character from the robber's side, but also creates this tense atmosphere very stressful as well. And I think that's where it stands a little bit more out of the crowd in films like this. The fact that it's very spontaneous in its actions and its scenes. Now, that doesn't mean that this film doesn't have any like flaw in it. I feel like there's again that one convenience factor. There's also a lot of plot holes in this film where, how, why, what, like a lot of questions come up in some of the scenes. So that is something that they didn't really clear upon, and I wish they did. You know, by clearing up those plot holes, that would have made this film a complete package to watch. So that didn't happen, unfortunately. But other than that, I enjoyed this film from start to finish. It has moments where it's tense, and it also has moments where it's intriguing and exciting as well. So overall, if they had cleared all these plot holes and everything, I would have given this film a solid 10 out of 10 in my opinion. But sadly, there's still some plot holes and probably a few one scenes, just the convenience thing. So with that being said, I'll give this film a 7 out of 10. There are also people who have watched this film and are giving reviews, and I saw some of them saying that this film is very like dialogue heavy, it's quite slow. Some of them didn't really like the style of play this film ended up going with. They were not really a fan of some of the characters as well. I am definitely not on their side, I should say. I feel like this film does a great job in giving me a valuable experience while watching it. I didn't feel like I was wasting any of my time watching this film. Like I said, this is going to be a short review because I really feel like this film needs to get a lot of this attention from people. So hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So bye bye.